Welcome back to the deep dive. So I want to start today with a really simple request. I want you to just blink your eyes. Go ahead, seriously, just do it.
Okay, I'm playing along. There. Blinked.
All right, that took you maybe 300, 400 milliseconds. To us, that feels instantaneous, right? It's about the
Yeah.
smallest unit of time we can really perceive.
But in the world we are diving into today, 300 milliseconds is an eternity. It's practically a geological age.
Exactly, because in less than half the time it took you to do that, in about 100 milliseconds, a massive global high-stakes financial auction just took place on whatever device you're listening on right now.
And it didn't just happen once. It happened for every single ad slot on the web page you just loaded.
So if there are 3 ads on a page, that's 3 separate auctions.
3 separate simultaneous auctions.
Yeah.
All starting and ending in that tiny window.
We are talking about ad serving. And before you zone out thinking, oh, great, a deep dive on pop-up ads, just hold on.
Please do.
Because we are working off this really comprehensive technical training from Wordletalks called How Does Ad Serving Work? And it makes a compelling case that this is, well, it's basically the central nervous system of the entire digital economy.
It really is. And that's not an exaggeration. It's one of the most complex distributed systems humans have ever built. We're talking trillions of decisions every single day.
It's this crazy mix of massive scale, incredible speed, and pinpoint targeting.
Right. And our goal today is to kind of demystify the acronym SOUP of ad tech.
A soup is real.
Oh, that's very real.
You've got your SSPs, your DSPs.
DMPs, RTB. I mean, where do you even start?
It's a lot. But we're going to act as translators today. We want to explain exactly how a brand's message gets from a server in, say, New York to a smartphone in Tokyo in that fraction of a second.
And maybe more importantly, why that entire process is getting so much harder.
Okay, so let's strip it down. If this whole thing is a marketplace, who are the players? You need buyers and sellers.
Exactly. At the highest level, it's just supply and demand. On the supply side, you have the publishers.
Okay, so publishers, that's the websites, the apps, the streaming services.
Anyone creating content that people want to look at. Yes,
Thank
they
you.
have inventory.
Which is just a fancy word for the empty space on the page.
It's digital real estate. And they want to rent that space for the highest price. But they can't call every single advertiser, so they use a piece of tech called an SSP.
A supply-side platform. I always think of this as the publisher's auctioneer.
That's a perfect analogy. Its only job is to maximize yield, get the best price for its owner, the publisher.
Okay, so that's the supply. Now, the demand side. The advertisers.
Brands, agencies, you name it, they want to buy that attention. But again, they can't call every publisher.
Just doesn't scale.
Impossible. So
Yeah.
they use their own robot, the DSP, or demand-side platform.
So if the SSP is the auctioneer, the DSP is the automated paddle waiver in the crowd.
It's the automated bidder, yeah. It has a very specific set of instructions from the brand.
Like what kind of instructions?
Things like, I only want to reach women 25 to 40 who live in California and have shown interest in hiking gear. And don't you dare pay more than $3 per 1,000 views. The DSP holds the wallet.
And connecting these two, the SSP and the DSP, is the ad exchange, the marketplace itself.
This digital trading floor, that's where the virtual handshake happens.
There was one other player in the guides ecosystem section that seems really important. It sounds like the brain of the operation, the DMP.
Right, the data management platform.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the DMP as this massive sorting facility for information. It takes in all this raw data.
Cookies, mobile IDs, that sort of thing.
All of it. Purchase history, browsing data, and it organizes it into clean segments. It turns a mess of data points into a simple label like in-market auto buyer.
And it feeds that intelligence to the DSP so it knows who to bid on.
Exactly. It provides the who.
Okay, so we have the players. SSPs selling, DSPs buying. But here's something from the Wordletalks material that I have to admit it kind of stopped me. I think most people assume there's just one big ad server somewhere in the cloud.
That is a very common misconception, yeah.
But the training talks about this ad server dichotomy. There isn't just one server, there are 2, and they're measuring different things.
And that's a crucial distinction. It's the source of so many problems in the industry. You have the publisher ad server and the advertiser ad server.
Let's break that down. The publisher ad server, that would be something like Google Ad Manager.
Correct. It works for the website. Its main job is inventory management. It's the gatekeeper. It decides who gets to show an ad.
So it's looking at all the options and saying, okay, this direct deal pays me the most, so it gets top priority.
Right. It prioritizes all the demand and makes the final call. Then you have the advertiser ad server, like a Campaign Manager 360.
And that one works for the brand.
It does. Its first job is to actually hold the creative, the images and videos.
Yeah.
But its most important job is to give the brand a unified view.
What do you mean by that, a unified view?
Well, imagine you're Nike. You're running ads on ESPN, on Vogue, on 1,000 different blogs. You can't log into 1,000 different systems to see how it's going.
Of course not.
You need one dashboard that counts everything across every site you're running on. That's the advertiser ad server.
I get it. But the source material says this is where discrepancies come in.
The bane of every ad operations person's existence, yes.
Because they're counting at slightly different moments.
Precisely. They connect through what's called the redirect chain. The publisher server says, okay, Nike won, and sends a signal to Nike's server to serve the ad.
But what happens if I, the user, close the browser tab in that split second?
Now you see the problem. The publisher counts it as a delivered impression because they sent the signal.
But the advertiser server never even got the request.
So they count it as 0. And when you're dealing with millions of dollars, a 5 or 10% discrepancy can mean a huge fight over who pays the bill.
It's all about latency, the speed of the connection.
Speed is money. Always.
Okay, so let's talk about how the money actually changes hands. The training draws a really clear line between direct buying and programmatic. Direct sounds very Mad Men.
It is the old school method, for sure. Martinis and handshakes. But it's still where the really premium money is. This is all human negotiated.
So real people talking on the phone.
Talk on the phone, signing contracts, they're called insertion orders or IOs, and the price is totally fixed. The inventory is guaranteed.
So if I want to buy the front page of the New York Times for Super Bowl Sunday, that's a direct deal.
Absolutely. You're not leaving that to some algorithm. You want the guarantee. But it's slow. It's manual. It doesn't scale.
Which is where programmatic comes in. The guide says that's like, what, 90% of the market now?
At least. But here's the key thing the source really gets into. Programmatic isn't just one thing. It's a whole spectrum.
A spectrum of what? Control versus scale?
Exactly. Think of it like a ladder.
Yeah.
At the very top, you've got programmatic guaranteed. It's the best of both worlds. You use the automated pipes of software, so it's fast and efficient, but you have a fixed price and reserved inventory, just like a direct deal.
Okay, so you know exactly what you're getting and what you're paying.
Right. Then one rung down, you have preferred deals. You get a first look at the ad space at a set price, but it's not guaranteed.
The publisher might sell it to someone else for more money?
Potentially, yeah. Then you get into private marketplaces or PMPs. These are invite-only auctions. Think of it as the velvet rope section.
So only premium websites and trusted advertisers.
Right. And then at the very bottom of the ladder,
The open auction.
the Wild West, also known as RTB Real-Time Bidding.
And this is what I really want to get into. This is the 100-millisecond auction we talked about at the top.
Yeah.
The Wordletalks training breaks it down step by step. And it's amazing the internet doesn't just collapse.
It's a relay race run at the speed of light. Let's just walk through it.
Okay, time 0, page load. I type a URL, I hit enter.
Okay, your browser starts to load the page. Instantly, it's collecting signals. It checks your cookies, your device ID, your IP address for location.
At about 10 milliseconds in, the publisher's ad tag fires.
Right. That's a little piece of code. It bundles up all that data, this URL, this ad size, this is who we think the user is, and shoots it over to the SSP.
To the auctioneer.
The SSP takes all that, packages it into a standard format called OpenRTB, and creates a bid request. It then broadcasts that request out to dozens, maybe hundreds of DSPs. We're now at about the 50-millisecond mark.
So the DSPs, the buying robots, they get this signal. User in Chicago, interested in sports, 300 by 250 ad slot available. And they have to make a decision fast.
They have to do an unbelievable amount of homework in about 20 milliseconds.
Yeah.
It's not just about price. It's checking, does this user match my targeting? Do I have any budget left?
Is the website brand safe? I don't want my Disney ad next to some horrible content.
That's a huge one. And another is frequency capping. The DSP has to check a massive database to see, has this specific user already seen this ad 5 times today?
Because after a certain point, you're just annoying them and wasting money.
You are. So if all that logic passes, targeting, budget, safety, frequency, the DSP calculates a price, say $3.10, and fires back a bid.
And the SST gets all these bids back, picks the highest one, tells the browser, we have a winner, and the ad loads.
Total time elapsed, about 100 milliseconds.
And the user, you have no idea any of that just happened.
Not a clue.
The source mentioned a nuance about the pricing here that I thought was interesting, that historically this was a second price auction.
Right, which comes from game theory. In a second price auction, the winner pays 1 cent more than the second highest bid.
So if I bid $5 and you bid $2, I win, but I only paid $2.01.
Exactly. It encourages everyone to bid what they truly think the ad is worth, because you're not afraid of massively overpaying.
But it says the industry has mostly moved to first price auctions now.
It has. So if you bid $5, you pay $5. It's more transparent for the publisher. They know what they're getting.
But it puts all the pressure on the buyer.
It forces the DSPs to be way, way smarter. They have to use algorithms called bid shading to try and guess the lowest possible price they can bid and still win.
Speaking of strategies, let's talk about how publishers organize all this. The source describes this huge evolutionary leap from the waterfall to header bidding.
This was one of the single biggest technical shifts in the last decade, a complete game changer.
So explain the waterfall. It sounds nice, but the training makes it sound like it was awful for publishers.
He was incredibly inefficient. The publisher server would call its partners one by one in a sequence. It would call SSPA and say, hey, you want this impression for $2. If they said yes, that was it, auction over.
But what if SSPC, who was third in line, had a buyer willing to pay $10?
They never even got the call. They were too far down the waterfall. The publisher just left $8 on the table because they took the first offer, not the best one.
Okay, I see the problem. So what was the fix? Header bidding.
Header bidding basically flattened the waterfall. Instead of a sequence, it runs a parallel auction. A piece of code Prebid.js, the most famous one, sits in the header of the web page.
And what does it do?
When the page loads, it yells out to all the SSPs at the exact same time.
So everybody gets to bid simultaneously?
Everybody shouts their price at once.
Yeah.
The code just listens for a moment, takes the single highest bid from the entire group, your $10 bid from SSPC, and sends that to the ad server as the winner.
So the highest bidder actually wins?
The highest bidder actually wins. It democratized the whole thing, and the impact was huge. The guide notes a 20 to 50% revenue lift for publishers just from making that switch.
Okay, so the auction's over, the winner is picked, but the job's not done. The ad has to actually show up, and this is where we get into rendering and measurement.
Right, because winning the bid is useless if the user never sees the ad. So the browser has to fetch the creative. But publishers are, very paranoid about what code runs on their page.
And for good reason.
Absolutely. So the ad is often put inside something called a safe frame.
Which sounds like a digital quarantine zone.
That's a good way to think of it. It's a sandbox container. It lets the ad load and function, but it strictly limits what it can do. It can't read your passwords or mess with the site's layout. It's a critical security layer.
So the ad loads safely. But here's the thing that I think always surprises people. Just because an ad loaded doesn't mean anyone saw it.
This is the entire concept of viewability. The ad could be at the very bottom of the page. If you read the headline and click away, the server counts that impression, but your eyes never came close to it.
And advertisers eventually said, hang on, I'm not paying for that.
Of course not. Why pay for a tree falling in an empty forest? So the industry, through the MRC, the Media Rating Council, created standards for what counts as a viewable impression.
So what counts? What's the definition?
For a standard display ad, 50% of the ad's pixels have to be in view on the screen for at least one continuous second.
Wait, 1 second. Half the ad for 1 second. That's the bar.
That is the currency of the internet. For a video ad, it's 2 seconds.
That feels incredibly low.
It is a low bar. But you have to remember, before this, advertisers were paying for ads that loaded in hidden tabs or below the fold that nobody ever scrolled to. So it's a step.
And to enforce this, you need a third party.
You need the police. Companies like IAS or Double Verify, their tech sits inside that safe frame and measures everything. And they're looking for worse things than just low viewability. They're looking for ad fraud.
You mean bots?
Bots.
Yeah.
Huge server farms where computers just load web pages and click on ads all day to drain campaign budgets. The verification tech has to analyze mouse movements, timing, everything to tell a human from a script.
We've covered the tech, the money, the fraud. But we have to end on the elephant in the room, the thing that powers all of this targeting, user data, and the privacy changes that are just tearing this system apart.
This is the extinction level event that's happening in slow motion. For 20 years, this whole auction system ran on third-party cookies, little tracking files that followed you around.
But now we have GDPR, CCPA. Users are finally getting the ability to say no.
And the browsers are forcing the issue. Safari and Firefox have blocked cookies for years. Google Chrome is in the process of killing them off now. And this breaks the fundamental machinery we just spent all this time describing.
Because if the DSP can't identify you with a cookie, it doesn't know you're a luxury car buyer.
It knows nothing. It's bidding blind, which is why that consent banner you see on every website is so important.
The one everyone just clicks accept on without reading.
Right. But when you click that, the consent management platform, the CMP, it generates what's called a TC string. Transparency and consent.
It's like a digital permission slip.
That's exactly what it is. It's a long string of code that says, this user agreed to tracking for analytics, but not for marketing. And that string has to travel with the bid request.
And if it's not there, or it says no,
then the top DSPs won't even bid. The legal risk is too high. It's like trying to cross a border without a passport. No entry.
So with cookies dying and consent being a requirement, what happens? The source calls it an identity crisis.
And it is. The industry is scrambling for solutions.
Yeah.
You have things like UID 2.0 that try to use your email login as an identifier. But honestly, the biggest shift we're seeing is a massive return to the past.
Which is?
Contextual targeting.
Meaning you target the content, not the person.
Exactly. Instead of knowing you are a car enthusiast because I've tracked you for 6 months, I just put my Ford ad on a car review website. I don't need to know who you are. I just know what you're reading right now.
It's so funny. It's like we've come full circle. That's just how magazine advertising worked for a century.
It is. The tech is more sophisticated, but the principle is the same. It's simple and it's privacy safe.
So let's just recap this journey. A user blinks. In less time than that, a request goes out, a global auction runs, fraud checks are performed, a legal consent string is verified, a winner is picked, and an ad is rendered.
It's an absolute technological marvel. I mean, it's probably the most complex real-time system ever built, and we use it to sell shoes.
The Wordletalks guide really boils it down to 3 key takeaways. 1, speed is everything. Latency is the enemy.
2, programmatic is king, and things like header bidding made it a much fairer, more efficient market.
And 3, measurement is the new currency. If you can't prove it was viewable and fraud-free, it basically didn't happen.
Couldn't have said it better.
Which brings me to a final thought. We've built this incredibly complex machine for hyper-personalization. You know, the right ad to the right person at the right time. But as these privacy walls get higher, the machine is going blind.
It's going blind to personal identity, yes. But here's the thing for you to think about. For a decade, we just assumed that surveillance was a prerequisite for effective advertising. The next few years are going to be a massive test of that assumption.
So the future isn't about knowing who I am.
It's about getting much, much better at understanding what I'm doing right now. As the data trail about who you were goes dark, the value shifts back to the content. It might be a shift from an era of stalking to an era of, well, just reading the room.
From stalking to reading the room. I like the sound of that.
We can all hope.
Well, the next time you see an ad load, whether you click it or not, maybe just take that 100 milliseconds to appreciate the insane technological ballet that just put it there.
A lot of work for a 15% off coupon.
It certainly is. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll see you on the next one.